The founding legend of the Vietnamese people is related to a shocking divorce of two ancient gods. They were the ancestors of the Vietnamese people. The father of the country was Lạc Long Quân, and the mother of the country was O Cơ. Hello everyone, welcome to Silent Garden Book. The English videos on this channel will introduce Vietnamese literature. I will introduce both creative literature and folk literature. If you are interested, please follow the channel and like the video to help me. Hope to bring relaxing moments to everyone. Thank you for visiting the channel. Now let's go back to the story of Vietnam's founding. A long time ago, in the area south of the Yangtze River called Linh Nam, there was a leader named Loc Thuc, also known as Kinh Dung Vuong, who had extraordinary health and the ability to walk on water as if on land. Kinh Dung Vuong was the king of Sikwi country, the third-generation descendant of Shen Nong. One day, Kinh Dung Vuong went to Dong Dinh Lake, met Long Nut, female dragon, the daughter of the Dragon King, and they became husband and wife. Shortly after, they had a son named Sung Lam. When Sung Lam grew up, he was very strong and could lift a rock that two people could hug with one hand. Like his father, Sung Lam had the ability to walk on water as if on land. When he succeeded his father, he took the name Lạc Long Quân. At that time, the land of Linh Nam was still wild, with no place at peace. Lạc Long Quân was determined to travel everywhere. Arriving at the southeast coast, which is the modern Sea of Vietnam, Lạc Long Quân encountered a very large fish. This fish had lived for a long time. Its body was more than 50 meters long. Its tail was like a sail. Its mouth could swallow 10 people at a time. When it swam, the waves rose to the sky, passing boats were all sunk by it, and the people on the boats were all swallowed alive. The fishermen were very afraid of that monster. They called it the fish spirit. The fish spirit's residence was a large cave that went deep into the seabed, and above the cave, there was a high rocky mountain range that divided the coastal area into two regions. Lạc Long Quân was determined to kill the monster, to eliminate the harm to the people. Lạc Long Quân built a very strong and very large boat, forged a block of iron with many sharp edges, heated it until it was red hot, then brought the iron block down to the boat and rowed straight to the fish spirit. Lạc Long Quân raised the iron block and pretended to hold a person, then threw it into its mouth for it to eat. The fish spirit opened its mouth to receive its prey. Lạc Long Quân threw the hot iron block straight into its mouth. The fish spirit, whose throat was burned, rose up to fight back, lashing its tail at Lạc Long Quân boat. Lạc Long Quân immediately drew his sword and cut the fish spirit into 3 pieces. The head turned into a sea dog. Lạc Long Quân used rocks to block the sea and killed the sea dog, throwing its head onto a mountain, now called Cao Dao Son. The fish spirit's body drifted to Manco land, now called Co Do Thuy. As for the fish spirit's tail, Lạc Long Quân peeled off its skin and covered it on an island in the middle of the sea, now called Bac Long Vi, which is the area of Hạ Long Bay and Bac Bộ Gulf in Vietnam today. After eliminating the fish spirit disaster, Lạc Long Quân went to Long Bien. There was a 9-tailed fox that had lived for more than 1,000 years and had become a spirit. It lived in a deep cave at the foot of a rocky mountain to the west of Long Bien. This demon often transformed into a human and mixed in with the people, luring and kidnapping girls to bring them back to the cave to harm them. In the area from Long Bien to Tan Vien Mountain, everywhere was harmed by the fox spirit. The people of both regions were very afraid. Many had to abandon their fields and move to other places to make a living. Lạc Long Quân cared for the people, so he went alone with his sword to the fox spirit's lair, looking for a way to destroy it. When Lạc Long Quân returned to the cave, the demon saw a human figure and rushed out. Lạc Long Quân immediately used magic to create wind, rain, and thunder to surround the demon. They fought for 3 days and 3 nights. The demon gradually weakened and tried to escape. Lạc Long Quân chased after it and cut off its head. It revealed its true form as a giant 9-tailed fox. Lạc Long Quân entered the cave to rescue the survivors, then ordered the aquatic species to raise the water of the Khai River, swirling the fox's cave into a deep abyss, which people at that time called Fox Body Pond, and later generations called it West Lake in the capital of Hanoi, Vietnam today. After the fox spirit disaster was over, The people in the surrounding area returned to farming on the fields by the lake and built houses and villages on the highest land, called Fox Village, which still exists today. Seeing that the people of Long Bien were living in peace, Lạc Long Quân went up the mountain to Phong Châu. In this area, there was an ancient tree called the sandalwood tree, thousands of feet high. Previously, its lush branches and leaves covered a large area of land, but after many years, the tree withered and turned into a monster. People called it the tree spirit. This monster was extremely vicious and cunning. Its place of residence was not fixed, sometimes in this forest, sometimes in another. It also constantly changed its form and hid everywhere, cornering people to eat. Wherever it went, miserable cries were heard, so Lạc Long Quân decided to save the people and destroy the monster. Lạc Long Quân had to go from one forest to another and spent many days of hardship before finding the monster's place of residence. He fought with it for 100 days and nights, causing the dragon tree to collapse, plunging the sky and earth into darkness, but he could not defeat it. Finally, Lạc Long Quân had to use musical instruments such as gongs and drums to scare it. Terrified, the monster fled to the southwest and lived around that area, which people then called Devil Crazy Bones. After destroying the monsters, Lạc Long Quân saw that the people in this area were still hungry and suffering. They had to cover their bodies with tree bark and weave kogan grass to make nests. Seeing their hardships, he taught them how to grow sticky rice, use bamboo tubes to cook rice, and cut wood to build stilt houses for shelter and protection against wild animals. Lạc Long Quân also taught them how to live as fathers and sons, husbands and wives. Grateful for his virtue, the people built Lạc Long Quân a magnificent palace on a high mountain. But Lạc Long Quân did not stay there. He often returned to his mother's homeland in the water palace and told the people, "If there is any disaster, call me. I will return immediately." At that time, King Lai from the north led his army to the south. King Lai was also a descendant of Shenong, a distant relative of Lạc Long Quân. King Lai brought with him his beautiful daughter Oka and many maids. Seeing the beautiful scenery of Lingnan, with many birds and precious woods, King Lai ordered his army to build a fortress and construct ramparts, intending to stay there for a long time. The people had to serve under harsh conditions. They could not bear it, so they turned to the East Sea and cried out, "Father, why don't you come back to save our people?" In the blink of an eye, Lạc Long Quân had returned. The people told him everything. Lạc Long Quân then transformed into a very handsome young man, with hundreds of servants following him, singing as he walked straight to where King Lai was. However, Lạc Long Quân did not see King Lai anywhere, but only a girl of extraordinary beauty, surrounded by countless maids and soldiers. That beautiful girl was Oka. Seeing the majestic and handsome Lạc Long Quân, she immediately fell in love with him and asked to follow him. Lạc Long Quân took Oka to live in his palace on a high mountain. When King Lai returned, he could not find his daughter, so he ordered his soldiers to search everywhere, day after day. However, Lạc Long Quân sent tens of thousands of evil beasts to block the roads, tearing them apart and scaring them into retreat. In fear, King Lai had no choice but to withdraw his troops to the north. After a short time with Oka, she became pregnant and gave birth to a sack. After 7 days, the sack hatched into 100 eggs. Each egg hatched into a son. Those 100 sons grew up like a puff of air, all beautiful, healthy, and extremely intelligent. Decades passed, and Lạc Long Quân lived happily with his children, but he still missed the water palace. One day, Lạc Long Quân said goodbye to Oka and his children, transformed into a dragon, and flew up into the clouds, returning to the ocean. Oka and her children wanted to follow him but could not, so they sadly stayed on the mountain. Day after day, they waited with longing eyes, but there was still no sign of him. Not seeing Lạc Long Quân return, and missing her husband deeply, Oka stood on a high mountain facing the East Sea and called out, "Dad, why don't you come back? You make our mom and us suffer like this." Lạc Long Quân returned immediately. Oka blamed her husband. "I was born in the high mountains and big caves, and we gave birth to 100 sons, but you had the heart to leave me, leaving our children to live alone and miserable." Lạc Long Quân said, "I am a dragon. You are a fairy. It is difficult to stay together for long. Now I will take 50 children to the sea, and you take 50 children to the mountains. Divide them into different places to rule. Some go up the mountains, some go down to the sea. If you encounter danger, let each other know. Help each other. Don't forget." The two said goodbye to each other. The 100 sons scattered to different places, and those 100 became the ancestors of the Bakvit people. The eldest son stayed in Phong Châu, was honored as the king of Vân Lang, and took the title Hung Vuong. King Hung divided the country into 15 divisions, appointed civil and military generals called Lạc Ho and Lạc Tuong. The king's son was called Quan Lang, and the king's daughter was called Meet Nương. The eternal throne was called King Hung. Lạc Long Quân was the one who expanded the Linh Nam region, bringing peace to the people. Oka was the one who raised the children. King Hung was the one who founded Vân Lang country, the predecessor of today's Vietnam. King Hung passed the throne for 18 generations. Because of the story of Lạc Long Quân and Oka, the Vietnamese people still consider themselves descendants of the dragon and the fairy. The legend of Vietnam's founding ends here. Thank you everyone for visiting the Silent Garden Book channel. See you again in another video.